get to the comments, and I see we got a lot. I want to get into this story. So it's a follow-up on the whole Arrietty, um, Jules Sparkles drama. So Susie Toot is out here spilling tea on the drama that transpired between them and what I guess we didn't see on the show. So shout out to Entertainment Weekly because they had this exclusive. So I was like, yeah, let's get into it. So Susie Toot spilled basically on why Jules didn't tell the judges, because I was sitting there like the whole time when I was watching the episode, I was like, so at what point is she gonna spill on her sister and say, like, you know what, Arrietty stole my jokes? And I'm glad, this finally came up because I was literally thinking this as I was watching the episode. So RuPaul's Drag Race Season 17 clocked in for its most dramatic episode yet, amid the queens pulling no punches during the hilarious villains roast. And its latest eliminated contestant, Arrietty, sought revenge by dropping a bombshell on her season's sister by stealing pre-written jokes, which weren't funny by the way, from Jules Sparkles after the latter put her in a precarious position in the Comedy Challenge order. Now, an exclusive interview with EW shortly after Friday's episode aired, fellow cast member Suzie Toot, which one of the girls said Suzie Toots, and I had to correct Suzie because you said it's plural. I was like, no, it's singular. Toot is singular. Plural means more than one, so Suzie Toots would be plural, not singular. Look, I got to sit up here and teach the children. So, pop the corn and feed the children, as a wise queen once said. So now, what did she say? Okay, so now Suzie recalls the onset drama as a force that impacted the entire workroom environment. She said it was heat in that room in a crazy way, Susan said with a laugh after she was shown on camera attempting to calm both Arrietty and Lexi, who also felt sabotaged by Jules selecting her to go last in the roast rotation. Sidebar, mind you, Lexi wanted to go last in the challenge. She asked for it, it was given to her, and then she got upset. Make that make sense. One thing Susie, or anyone for that matter, couldn't have mediated was a bombshell revelation that, in retaliation against Jules, Arrietty, who Jules placed one spot ahead of herself in the lineup, had stolen some of her sister's jokes and used them on stage. The camera showed Jules looking perturbed in the audience, but Susie tells EW why Jules didn't immediately jump out to out Arrietty's actions. She said she didn't tell anyone in the moment. It wasn't until a van ride that night until she told me that what happened. Here's the thing. This is what Jules said, I'm going to hold this in. I'm not going to say it unless Arrietty says it, because if she goes home tonight, I don't want this being part of her narrative. Well, it's so nice that you're thinking of others in that situation, while she was willing to sabotage you and get you to sashay away because she was in her feelings about what had happened. So Arias did, however, bring it up in the group later during filming for the Untucked competition series. So Jules spoke about it on camera in a confessional that aired during the Villains Roast, which welcomed back past contestants Mistress Isabel Brooks, Plain Jane, and Candy Muse. Now, in her EW elimination interview, Arrietty suggested that the rift on set impacted her in emotional ways and that she and Jules aren't necessarily the closest sisters of the season 17 cast. Susie confirms that Friday night's drama was one of the fights that affected the real relationship of the girls because it left things unresolved for weeks after Arrietty left without an opportunity to see Jules until after filming wrapped. Well, I wonder where they met up at. Now, I'm wondering if there's weeks after it wrapped, was it they met up and had to do some promotional type stuff and that's where they met up? Or was it during the Drag Race season 17 premiere that took place in New York where all the queens had to gather together? This is around December when all this happened because I told you I was there. So I'm wondering if that was when they met up and then they patched, or they just were cordial to each other. Because Susie said that, yeah, after what happened, yeah, they on camera they patched things up, but then there was still that distance. She said it's all good now. The group chat is still alive. There was a dip during the season when people weren't talking, but everything is good. Now, elsewhere during the conversation, which took place at P-Town Bar in Pittsburgh on Friday night, Susie reveals a joke she wrote down but didn't ultimately use during the roast, and it involves a popular drag queen all-stars icon. She said, I'll tell you one. Mistress looks like Trixie Mattel if you put a bicycle pump inside of her. So then Suzie additionally speaks about season 17 contestant and roast winning queen Lydia Butthole Collins, who hails from Pittsburgh, and the latter's romantic relationship with fellow cast member Corey King. And she also said, "You watch the show, they're practically fucking on episode 1. I clocked it because at first, and this is tea, this is exclusive. I'd written in my journal the day before the Monopolist work day, maybe I should start a fake romance with Corey King because I think she's kind of into me and it would be funny. She was sending signals my way. Your woman is being cheated on," Suzie says. Now, Indica, a drag entertainer who hosts the Another Party event, also praises Lydia as a representation of the local drag scene, saying what Lydia is telling the world about Pittsburgh drag is that we smell bad. But in all seriousness, what Lydia is telling the world about Pittsburgh drag is that Pittsburgh is a city that often gets forgotten about when you think about the bigger cities. But some of the coolest, punkest, and most transgressive drag happens right here. Well, look, the only time we heard from Pittsburgh is when they use it as queer as folk, in the show, as saying that this is, Pittsburgh, blah, 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 all the other stuff, even though it was Canada where they was filming. But nevertheless, I'm glad that we got this exclusive tea. I hope that the girls work it out. But here's the thing, what I'm really looking forward to. Y'all better give us a reunion this season. I don't know if it'll be a bring back my girls type situation with T.S. Madison, but if Rupa doesn't want to do sidebar, Ru, you working part-time now? Like you barely was in the episode of the roast. You only showed up when it was time to do the main stage situation. Other than that, Michelle handled everything. So you weren't there. But I did hear something like we've been talking many times, like Ru talking about retiring. I think it was a video that popped up that Ru said she will never retire from Drag Race. So she's gonna do it until y'all don't give a damn about the show no more. She's not going nowhere. But now I guess all the other spinners, maybe she'll pass that down. But for the most part, she's gonna stick with it. So there you have it. Hopefully we get to find out the tea in regarding the girls and where they stand in the reunion. I mean, at the reunion. But if Ru doesn't want to do the reunions anymore, let T.S. Madison come in and host it with Michelle Visage or something or another. I don't know. Because it don't seem like Ru even she don't interact with these girls like that. She don't seem as engaged. But I was like, yeah, let Michelle do it and let T.S. co-host. And then y'all could do a further down the road one with T.S. by herself at with Bring Back My Girls when she does it at DragCon. Sidebar, does not even know when we're getting DragCon this year? Like, I haven't heard anything about DragCon. So, I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding this exclusive tea from Suzie Toot on why Jules Sparkles did not spill the tea or throw not even throw Arrietty in the bus, because Arrietty tried to throw her under the bus, but why she didn't reveal that, yeah, this bitch sabotaged me during the challenge, which we ended up in the bottom. But then again, look, Jules ate her up in that performance of Beyonce's Yaya, because they performed that. I was like, okay, yeah, it's one of the best songs off of Cowboy Carter. They got to perform for the show. I'm sure that cost the show a pretty penny. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.